Top of the day, beautiful people. Happy Monday. It is January the 2nd, 2022. Day 200 and, I'm sorry. Nope, I'm looking at the wrong day up here. Day 304 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets under the 4-year consecutive day count. Day 1323. Did I say 2023 or 2022? I forgot just that quick. Did I say the right date? Did I say the right year? I thought so. I thought I said 2022, Keith. Let me start over. Happy Monday. It is January the 2nd, 2023. Day 303 of year 4. I keep doing it wrong. You know what's throwing me off, y'all? I didn't go pick up my new book. I got to go do it today. And so on the last day, I don't have any more days in here. I keep glancing up and I put it over here. So when I did it over to do it right, I still looked at the wrong thing and I put it over here. I'm going to get this together. I promise y'all I am. It's January the 2nd, 2023. Day 304 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets under the 4-year consecutive day count. Day 1323. Today, we're going to read some more. This is a letter from Celeste. We're going to keep it, to the hour's time, maybe 45 minutes, maybe, I'm not 45 minutes, but maybe 15 minutes over the hour mark at most. Let me close all this and open up the book. All right. I think later on today, too, I'm going to start going through Romance of the Red Star. Based on what Cosmon said last night, the information he has, I didn't realize that once John Newbro, if y'all was watching the video last night from the sisters video, that John Land, after John Newbro took the plates from him, he already had his own, he was already a printer, but he got together with a couple other people, and the plates that he still had, that he went on to publish those, right? So, and from what I understand, what was published, I know it mentioned in here, it gave the gentleman's name, so now I'm wondering, because it didn't mention John Land. Hold on, let me see. Let me scroll through here real quick, go back to this page where they mentioned that. If y'all remember exactly where in the document, because there was a lady's name in here, her and her husband, that printed the printers of the Romance of the Red Star. I don't remember seeing Lance's name in there unless it was just kept private for some reason with this document. But before I do that, shalom to everybody here hanging out already. Via, Ema, Dawn, Shayla, hey cousin, Vinette, Tabitha, Key, Shiru, Hannah, Prince, and everybody else here hanging out in the background in both places, YouTube and Facebook. Uncle JB, shalom, shalom. Something I do want to ask. My little intro video, I need some help with the ones that got a little intro video. And y'all probably doing it from StreamYard. I'm using just straight YouTube. I'm wondering how to get my little intro video at the beginning before it starts, or like the waiting screen while it's waiting. Like if I set it time for like 6:15, like if you come in at like 6 o'clock, it'll show like the little preview screen. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Some of the YouTube videos are not helpful for me at this point, and it's like way too long. I'm just like, get to the point. All right, y'all. Okay, so let me see. I'll go back here. I'm looking at a document, the Celeste letter. Going back a little bit to where we saw Romance of the Red Star. Printer. No. Real quick. Close their doors. Is this it? I think this is it. Wait a minute. I'm trying to get the names because in that book, it's actually, you don't see Lance's name, at least from what I saw. It just have the dude's wife name in there as the, I want to say just the author. Not clear. Needed to be changed. No, went too far. Hold on. Y'all know what part I'm talking about when it mentioned, and it could have been that letter. Y'all know what page it's on? Here in Celeste's letter. I thought I would be able to find it real quick. It's not bad. Was it in this JBN letter? Militant this morning. I guess I'm gonna have to look for it. I don't want to take too much time. But in here, we already read through it, and I think it's in that letter where it gave us the name of the people that published Romance of the Red Star. But anyway, like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time looking for it. But in there, it talks about how this particular person, these two people, the husband and wife, they published it, but they didn't mention Lance's name. And it's interesting, if they didn't, he may have decided just to be anonymous. I don't know. But I'm interested in what Cosmo said last night. So I'm gonna do like a line by line. Because they said that was the original of what John Lant actually had on his plates. I don't know. We'll see if I understand that correctly from the conversation last night. Okay, so let's go back to where we was at. Father, we thank you for more puzzle pieces. All right, y'all. So we pause on page 28 of the document, the electronic document. Tabitha, shalom, shalom. Wait, did I already say? Yeah, you came in earlier. I'm sorry. You was just talking to Prince. Okay. All right, y'all. So on page 28, we pause. It's the title is An Article by Seventh Era Faithists. The Lant Proof Sheets and Their Significance to Oahspe, December the 23rd, 2022. And there is a link to this right under that. So if you click it, it should take you right to it. The Lant Proof Sheets were printed off. The Lant Proof Sheets were printed off 500 copper plates, which were made in 1881 but never used in the published Oahspe in 1882. JBN writes, the 1882 first printing of Oahspe was not the first version of the book. The very first plates were made during the year of 1881 from the original manuscript of Oahspe. These plates were made by Dr. Newborough's printer friend, John A. Lant, in New York City. According to an article press release in the New York Times dated the 21st of October, 1882, the transmission of Oahspe through Newborough took place from the spring of 1880 to the spring of 1881. There was a whole year that he spent typing this up. Quote, he began the work in the spring of 1880, an impression coming over him that it must be done. When he began, a bright light settled over his fingers. This would last 15 to 20 minutes, and when it disappeared, he could write no more. He continued his work for a year, lacking 2 weeks. Quote, I could not read it, for the light would not let me, he said, and I did not know the contents of the book until it was ready for type. That's probably ready for type, probably ready for print, right? Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to go changing stuff. But he was already typing. And we know from what he said earlier in the introduction of Oahspe that he wasn't able to read it until after he was like completely done, when it was ready for print, right? To be printed out. So I'm thinking this type right here, he wasn't able to read it until it was ready for print. Like I said, he got type in here. Maybe that's what they was calling it back in the day. I'm thinking being ready for the printer. Then still in 1881, Newbro had land, Then still in 1881, Newbro had land began preparing Oahspe for publication. After some 500 copper plates were made and proof sheets had been printed, Newbro told Lant he would not be using the plates and dismissed Lant from the project. Lant kept the plates and proof sheets. This means that by the time the 1882 edition was published, it was the actual third edition of Oahspe, the first being the actual typewritten manuscript transmitted through Newbro's hands. The second was the incompleted Lant proof sheets. So while the 1891 edition with edits to the footnotes also contained additional Oahspe texts not published in the 1882 edition, i.e. the Book of Discipline, it still was not a replica of the manuscript. In fact, several edits that differed from the 1882 edition indicated that Newbro and or his co-editors made some misinterpretations of the text. The edits, however, did not affect the general nature of the message. The coincidental benefit of Newbro's misinterpretations was that it was further proof that Newbro himself was not the author of Oahspe. According to Denon, Lant passed the proof sheets to Nelson. Okay, wait a minute. So, let me keep reading before I just jump ahead of myself. According to Denon, Lant passed the proof sheets to Nelson Standard, both of them being outer council members of the Brotherhood of Light in Colorado. By 1909, Standard had sent the proof sheets to the Brotherhood of Light headquarters at Arboles, Colorado. 80 Lant proof sheets passed into Wing Anderson's hands when he purchased the copyright and 1891 printing plates from Newbro's daughter Justine around 1930, along with a large pile of various other papers, including original letters from Newbro. These remained among the files and archives of Wing Anderson's community, the Essenes of Cosmon. They published the Book of Knowledge, copied from proof sheets as well as other parts of the proof sheets in their periodical, the Cosmon Pioneer Bulletin, from 1954 to 1956. Since that time, the proof sheets were lost track of, and to date is not known if any still exist. Then it has a number 1 reference, and it says More of Oahspe by Jim Denon, 1983. And the number 2 reference is the New York Times article on Oahspe, the 21st of October, 1882. And this has an original Lant proof sheet made from the Lant plates, and this is like the sapphire one. Everybody's seen this. We saw this already. Can you see it? I know the glare on the computer. Okay, that's for Facebook. YouTube. That's with the tree of language and the intro to Safa around the tree. That's how it originally was on the plate. Elijah, peace, shalom, family. Of the published Lant proof sheets by the Essenes of Cosmon, only one was published as an original replica. Denon writes, Wing published a special Cosmon newsletter which included the letters from Dr. Newbro and Andrew Howland and the Safa title proof sheet. This was the only Lant proof sheet ever made public. Only the contents were copied and published from the others. The whereabouts of the Lant proof sheets and whether they even still exist is not known. How much of the proof sheets remain unpublished by the Essenes of Cosmon is also not known. And all that was not included in the Lant proof sheets that was also pulled from the 1882 publication is also not known. Why material was withheld from publication in the 1882 edition. And then it has this letter, and the top of it is entitled 1893 Letter About the Book of Ben Proof Sheets or Leaves, and then it says under that the Book of Knowledge. And then it has a handwritten letter that's in cursive. Do you see that? Like just a bright screen. Hold on. There you go. All right. So if you don't have a copy of what we're reading, like I said, just email me and I can email it to you. Or somebody that already has it that you talk to, they can probably send it to you. But you can just email me and I can send it to you. All right. So hold on. Let me see if they say what this letter says, and I'm gonna try and read his handwriting. Some of these words I can make out. Six. As stated, I mentioned to you the Leaves Book of Ben. The present edition is the something transcript from the, I'll probably be chopping this all up. The handwriting, the cursive is nice, but some of the words are just like, some of the letters I can't really make out. Some of them I can, it'd be all choppy. Let me see, let me try and read it. It says, Shalom, September the 12th, 1893. Dear Percy, something of the 6th, something with something stated something. I mentioned to you the Leaves Book of Ben. The present edition is the something transcript from the M something. I know Nubro had quite a large number of sheets of something, look like initials, MD. It looks like a MD, which when never just, which something never just in Oahspe, something from something book, something from and other. I think this, I know nothing about it, that they went, it looked like left, in order to something, the sign of the book. For instance, the book of praise, is that praise? The book of praise. That would be Bond's book of praise, but it says the book of praise was nearly double its normal size, and I have made much that is something and looks like flaws, maybe not flaws, quite something. It might have been written, something might have been in the book of Ben. Much was left out. Something as to what the something will in the future give, some monthly and quarterly something of the pamphlets in Oahspe. Mr. Howland. It's the most I can make out. Some of the letters is so pretty, but it's not really defined enough for me to actually tell what the word is by the first and the last letter of it. Most of that I was able to figure out by the first and the last letter. The rest of it is just like, the letters kind of straighten out too much for me to make out what it is. Okay. All right. Personal letters between associates of Nubros revealed that reducing the size of Oahspe to limit publishing costs and affordability of the book to buyers was the reason a reduced Oahspe was finally published. As it turned out, the reduced Oahspe was still a large and relatively expensive volume, retailing at $7.50 on its first release, right? And we got to realize that during that time, $7.50 was probably like $100 to them. You know, that's $7. What? We can be sure that Nubro was most dedicated in his efforts to make Oahspe available before and after publication within the constraints of available resources. During the next several years, the following publication of Oahspe in 1882, the Oahspe Publishing Association released some of the unpublished manuscript material. This included the Book of Oahspe, the Book of Discipline, and 11 Zimmers. 11 Zimmers. An internet archival entry confirms that the Book of Oahspe was a part of Oahspe and a product of automatic writing. Quote, Pasho, a paper devoted to Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth, published by the Oahspe Publishing Association, New York. 5 chapters from Oahspe, Oahspe, written automatically, indexed to the New Bible, Panic, Yahaic, Vedic, Hebraic, and Sanskrit primaries, interpretations, illustrations, etc. Quarto, page 24. And just in case, let me say this. Let me just go ahead and say this for some people that's possibly hanging out in the background, right? So me and a couple of the sisters did some snooping, right? So I just want to kind of warn you. There is a website, not a website, what's the gentleman's name? And Sei.zur.es is going to interview him. And hopefully he'll get to ask, or somebody get to ask this question, which we came across in the comment section of a couple of his videos. There's some talk that Oahspe was plagiarized, especially this book that it just mentioned in here, Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth. The book that they said this was plagiarized from, matter of fact, and I'm going to share it, all these little bits and pieces and things that's hidden. Thank you, Jamil. Woods and Pain, right? Woods and Pain. Sei.zur.es is going to be interviewing him, right? So me and Jamil and a couple other people just kind of looked at some stuff under his videos, right? So from our understanding, his videos is based on his personal experience of things that's not so kosher that he experienced during his shalom interactions with different communities of Oahspe over his years, right? And he didn't have such good experiences, right? So that's what his videos are about. Everything bad about Oahspe, court cases and stuff he's pulling up. But something struck my attention. And under one of the videos, I forget which one it was, but there was a conversation going on under that says that he plagiarized Oahspe, and he listed the name of 2 books, and they're very old books. One from the 1600s, and it was one from the 1800s, shortly before Oahspe was published. Right. So me, being as nosy as I am, I say nosy here, but we just call it my research skills, right? And anybody who's seen that before commenting on that should have at least gone to check. Now, true indeed, you had to purchase the book, right? You can do a quick download. It was only a couple dollars. I was like, hey, all in the name of research, again, my couple dollars, so I can pull up this book. So I pulled up the book, Woods and Pain, Shebrew. So I pulled up this book. There's 2 authors. I forget this author's name. I'm gonna share it with y'all. And the book, you can go look yourself. But I downloaded the one book. You can go ahead. One of the books that he mentioned that says it was plagiarized. The Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth. They said that was plagiarized from that book. So that book, I spent a little bit of time literally going through every page, scanning the lines really quick, because I've read through Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth, and so I'm familiar with the text. And as I was scanning through, trying to find something that would consist of plagiarism, it took me a little while, but I got through it. But I didn't see anything that would alert me that this has been plagiarized. The only thing that I saw that was even remotely close was when it started talking. You know how in the Oahspe it talks about the keynotes and musical and stuff like that. That's the only thing, but it was even worded different. It didn't even use the word keynote. And I know sometimes, because I know growing up through school, having to write papers, if I don't do proper research, I'm going to just go find one thing, look at it, and I'm going to rearrange the words, right? But that's still considered plagiarism, right? That's still considered plagiarism.
I feel like it's stupid. I feel like you should be like, I got this from so and so.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. When they don't give credit, now you can do that, but you still have to properly give credit to this one source you pulled all your information out of. Oahspe doesn't give credit to anybody. Neither am I saying it's plagiarized from what I've seen. Like I said, the only thing that was even remotely close by me personally scanning this and comparing it with Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth is when it was talking about musical notes and it was giving an example, just like Oahspe gave an example. But the example was, it was different. It wasn't the same example, but it was using the reference of music, right? And a lot of people do stuff like that. They'll give different examples, something that they're familiar with to convey a point. That was the closest thing. But I don't even see anything in there that could have been rearranged and put in Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth. Neither is there anything word for word in that book. So I'm curious as why he would throw that out there and say it was plagiarized, because either he heard that somewhere himself and he just threw it out there without even actually checking it, or he's just throwing random stuff out there thinking people's ignorant and they're not going to look, right? But it's people like me that come along and I'm checking it, come out of Christianity, I'm sick of the crap. I'm checking into everything you said, right? So if you're not for sure about something, don't put something out there that people can go check and then come back to you. Now you really look suspect for real, right? Is it that you butt hurt and you just throwing stuff out there? You want to deter as many people as possible from possibly something that could change your life. Give them truth. And not saying Oahspe is all of that, but there are some life-changing things in here that you can take and can apply. You ain't got to make a whole religion or be culty about it. You can just apply some of the principles that's here. So I noticed that about that book. I didn't see any kind of plagiarism there. So I'm curious as to what specifically he is talking about when he said it was plagiarized. Anything from that book, like, I need him to point that out, show us where that plagiarism happened. And then there was another gentleman, Renee, and I'm probably saying his last name wrong, Descartes or whatever, but he's written multiple books, and you can go on Kindle and you can purchase some of them. You can get them for like 99 cents. You know, his books, of course, he lived in another generation, but his books are out there. And I believe it was his books that you find from the 16th. Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was his books, Renee books, that are written in a 1600 time frame, right? But even still then, I didn't see anything. You can buy a bundle of his books from Kindle for like $2.99. I got like 4 of his books, right, for like a couple dollars, and just like I did, like a quick skim. And I'm not sure, I could have skimmed too fast where I missed something, right? So I'm not saying I'm 100% correct, but I'm just saying I don't really see anything that can constitute plagiarism, right? So I'm just asking a question. And if you listen in the background, or if you talk to him, you listen in the background, ask him to point this out. Otherwise, we're just going to have to wait till Selah interviews him and have these questions ready, right? So, but I would like him, it'll help my research, right? Because if this was plagiarized, we need to know for real, right? Don't be hiding stuff. If you've seen it, show it to us, right? I'm just saying it helps our research, it helps our studies. We're just trying to uncover lies and make sure we don't get caught up in that same type of thing that we did when we were bound in religion, right? So, right, Imam, right? Whoever didn't, right? Why would you do that? Not thinking anybody would check. I'm checking everything. Yes.
And this does have something to do that relates to this, but it's mainly towards you. With this, why in the world did you not? What are those scientists that go out and actively find past relics and past history that has been lost?
You talking about an archaeologist or anthropologist?
It's a mix of them. I am so surprised that you did not go down that route. Because if you're not, I'm probably in for yo, look, I'm gonna do my little 2-year joint thing, and if I get enough 4-year, I'm going to probably go to.
I don't know that. It doesn't really interest. Well, it does kind of interest me in that, because
there's so many past relics of this stuff in Oahspe, like things.
Like all over the world.
Yes, they literally just found out the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah.
Is an out what is it? It's an overgrown garden. Literally, back then they were so smart. They had created a technology. It was infertile in Brazil, like down there. They created some type of soil that could replenish that could remake itself.
Yeah.
And anything that you put in it just grew 10 times. So you know how Aunt Alicia had her cucumbers and how they grew crazy?
Yeah.
Basically is what it did.
And her
to
zucchini and squash is like, look like babies. I'm like, girl, this Jesus yard out here.
Yeah, and this is the thing.
Like, what's going on with this soil?
It is crazy. Like, all the soil, it's just spread out. I think it was because of some type of fungi in it that was helping it, like, move around.
That's interesting. Share that with me. Yeah, where you saw that at? That's interesting.
I'm listening to do right now.
Yeah, just send me a text. Okay, y'all. Where we at? We at 31 minutes. Okay. So, yeah, just finishing up what I was saying. I would like to see exactly what you're talking about that's been plagiarized, right? Because I didn't see it with them little books that I done went through, and he mentioned 2 books specifically, but I didn't see anything in them books that even remotely resembles what I've read through an Oahspe. And I'm curious as why he would put that up there. Like I said, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I didn't download the right version of what he was talking about, and I missed it. So I'm just asking questions, make sure I get all my stuff straight.
And please go into detail and be very verbally clear when you're trying to, prove something wrong, so everybody can understand and not make it in a way where only you understand and nobody else can, because then it has no type of weight, and what you said completely falls into fears. So if you're trying to prove somebody wrong, do it correctly.
Yeah, I ain't trying to prove them wrong. I'm just asking for a little bit more clarity. Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Thank you. Tabitha said the Oahspe controversy will continue for a long while. These are the reasons for the dissecting of the book over the years. Yeah. Renee. Yeah, Kimball. Shalom. Yes, that's the person. Yeah, Renee Descartes. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's probably like French or something like that. But yeah, that dude. Okay, what's that? Okay. Okay, so let's go back to this.
Granola, cinnamon, some folks in your indigo.
Jeremiah, you swipe my page over. Oh, okay. All right, I got it. I know where I'm at. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna just read this little. I'll just read this starting at the second paragraph. No, let me just go back to the top. This page 33 of the document that we're reading. We can be sure that Dru.g was most dedicated in his efforts to make Oahspe available before and after publication within the constraints of available resources. During the next several years following the publication of Oahspe in 1882, the Oahspe Publishing Association released some of the unpublished manuscript material. This included the Book of Oahspe, the Book of Discipline, and 11 Zimmers. An internet archival entry confirms that the Book of Oahspe was a part of Oahspe and a product of automatic writing. Quote, Pasho, a paper devoted to Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth, published by the Oahspe Publishing Association, New York, 5 chapters from Oahspe, Oranathan, written automatically, indexed to the New Bible, Panic, Yehaic, Vedic, Hebraic, and Sanskrit primaries, interpretations, illustrations, etc. Quarto, page 24. End quote. Jeremiah, turn it down a little bit, please. In the same spirit as Dru.g, dedicated publishers over the years have striven to keep Oahspe in print at a minimum price, foregoing profits and often relying on donations to continue publishing. Press release announcing Oahspe in the New York Times, 1882. Dr. Dru.g's Oahspe, published in the New York Times on the 21st of October, 1882, an inspired volume giving the history of 24,000 years. Several persons gathered at the house of Dr. J.B. Dru.g, number 128 West 34th Street, last evening to examine a new Bible called Oahspe, which was written by Dr. Dru.g. The new Bible is supposed to give the history of the earth and the heavens for 24,000 years and is written in the words of Jehovah and his angel ambassadors. It is a large quarto volume of over 900 pages and is published by an association consisting of 7 persons. Dr. Dru.g wrote back then, with them saying it was 900 pages, and already admitting to that they've cut it down. They cut down some of the pages from a 900. This the lowest edition is what, 978, 976, 876. No, 875. Hold on, I'm sorry. 875. 876 pages is what their lowest edition have, right? They said 900 here, but that's been cut down from what they originally had to save on printing costs. It is a large quarto volume of over 900 pages and is published by an association consisting of 7 persons. Dr. Dru.g, after the book had been examined by those present, told the story of its writing, prefacing his remarks by saying that its object was not to supplant other Bibles and religions, but to set forth a history of all religions going back 24,000 years. He said that it was for all races and peoples and explained the private affairs of angels and their relation to mortals. It showed why heaven was worth living for. He also said that he was not familiar with the ancient religions or languages before he wrote the book. He had written it automatically, his mind having no connection with what he was writing. In fact, he did not know from one day to another what he was penning on paper. Nope. I wonder if this is a typo, because he used a typewriter. Maybe it was just their assumption that he was penning it on paper. In fact, he did not know from one day to another what he was penning on paper. He began the work in the spring of 1880, an impression coming over him that it must be done. When he began, a bright light settled over his fingers. This would last. Okay, it's just a recap of what we read again. When he began, a bright light settled over his fingers. This would last 15 to 30 minutes, and when it disappeared, he could write no more. It always left his fingers cold and stiff. The work also could only be satisfactorily carried out at sunrise. This light, he continued, seemed to impress him. Strongly, he thought it was similar to the light in the burning bush, which talked with Moses, and which was the most common way of revelation to the sons of men. He continued his work for a year, lacking 2 weeks. Quote, I could not read it, for the light would not let me, he said, and I did not know the contents of the book until it was ready for type, end quote. Angela, shalom, shalom. After he had finished the manuscript, he said money began to come in from entire strangers who said they were impressed to send it to him. From England, $1,000 came, and about $2,500 was received from Boston. 1 roll of greenbacks was simply wrapped in a piece of paper with no envelope about it. This money, he thought, was clearly meant for the publishing of the new Bible, and consequently, the association was formed. The book had been before the world for about 3 weeks, and 52 copies had been sold to clergymen in this city and its vicinity. There had also been sold 200 copies to intelligent citizens. He refused to give the names of the members of the association, saying that it was composed of 7 persons, including 2 women. The agreement between the members called for $100,000. Some members had contributed $1,200. It was printed with plates in this city where all the engraving was done. Whatever money should be obtained whatever money should be obtained from the sale of the book was to be used in establishing kindergarten homes for orphans in this city. There were no salaries given to anyone. Professor Thomas A.M. Ward then spoke a few words concerning the book. He said that he was an Egyptologist and had deciphered the legend in the hieroglyphics on the obelisk in Central Park. The letters used by Dr. Nubro corresponded wonderfully to the Egyptian hieroglyphs. Dr. Setlinsky, also an Oriental scholar, said he had studied the book and had come to the conclusion that a man could not produce such a work and believed it was the work of supernatural agents. Dr. Nubro has been a spiritualist for about 12 years. He is a native of Ohio and is a practicing dentist. He is a man of large stature with dark, dreamy eyes and is very slow in his action. To a casual observer, the Bible seems a conglomeration of revised editions of Indian and Semitic religions. The style is in one place modern and in another ancient, and the English of the King James Version of the Christian Bible is mixed in with the English of today's. Published in the New York Times on the 21st of October, 1882. That's interesting. That's interesting to me, where it says the different to a casual observer, the Bible seems a conglomeration of revised editions of Indian and Semitic religions. The style is in one place modern and in another ancient, and the English of the King James Version of the Christian Bible is mixed in with the English of today's. That's interesting that they would pick. Look, I only read it through once. I ain't able to catch the tones just yet like I am for the Bible. But that's interesting that they would pick this up. Well, that seems to me that while there was an overshadowing, I'm just thinking about the start on what was said here. During the overshadowing to me, I believe that it was a group of angels, and maybe at different portions, the angels switched who was transmitting information to Nubro, which could account for the different from what they say. Like I said, I haven't read it enough to pick up the tone changes yet. But it says the style is in one place modern and in another ancient, and the English of the King James Version of the Christian Bible is mixed in with the English of today's. Also, it seems like a conglomeration of revised editions of Indian and Semitic religions. Thought that was interesting. And there was something else that they mentioned in here. Oh, about the letters on the Egyptian hieroglyphs, right? That's interesting. The letters, hold on. This person, Professor Thomas A.M. Ward, then spoke a few words concerning the book. He said he was an Egyptologist and had deciphered the legend in the hieroglyphics on the obelisk in Central Park. The letters used by Dr. Nubro corresponded wonderfully to the Egyptian hieroglyphs. That's really interesting to me. Are the hieroglyphics similar to the Panic language and how they wrote it out? Or was this publication clearly this publication was revised and edited? Did he change? Clearly he had to have changed the Panic language to the Egyptian hieroglyphic language for this man to be able to even pick that up, unless the Panic language is very, very similar to the Egyptian hieroglyphs, which would have been taken from previous times, right? From Semitic, then all the way back to Panic, right? It's interesting. I don't know. I just thinking. Okay. So that was the end of this little portion right here. Mom, shalom, shalom. Oh, wait, that's it. That's the end of this document. I'm scrolling like we had more. Okay, that's the end of Celeste's letter, y'all. Celeste, her mother, Joan Greer, Leslie, and Peter put this together. So if you missed the first portions of this while we was reading through it and why they even put this together, because they also have been searching for the John Lant plates for a very, very long time, right? Since Joan, and Joan is in her 90s now, right? So that's how long they've been in search for said John Lant plates, right? So now that we've realized what I thought that I got from New Mexico State University, I originally thought that it indeed was a John Lant plates because of the typing and the notes that was written on it and the corrections and stuff, you know. But until it was cross-referenced with other materials and the actual typewriter that he had, the information that they had on that I had to adjust what that was. And what we have, in fact, is the El Paso Oahspe. All right, so we're going to pause with that right there. So tomorrow, since we're done reading this, we're gonna start back in Oahspe. I mean, unless before tomorrow comes there's some more information that can kind of add to this. So we can kind of just like be on the lookout while we're reading through it the second time. But we will be picking up in, what was it? The Lord's third book? I think it was. That's where we paused. Yeah, the Lord's third book on page 95. In Oahspe, in the lowest edition. But what I'm gonna do today, it'll be a little bit later today. I'm gonna go into the Romance of the Red Star, and because this is a short book, the Lord's third book is a really short book. It's what is this, 3? It's 3 chapters. I'm gonna find this in the Romance of the Red Star, right? Because that's just another Oahspe or earlier edition, and from what I understand, Cosmo said this is possibly actually the printing of the plates that John Lant had when he, after Nubro took everything back, but he kept his plates. It's allegedly being said that his plates that he actually did publish, that he kept, which was the original writing, and it was done under the Romance of the Red Star. So we're going to check into that, and we'll see how much different that is from what we have here, all right? So we just checking down all the areas and all the roads and stuff. I'm just trying to see what it is. All right. So with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed that. Thank you again, Celeste, Joan, Leslie, and Peter for this document that you put together for us. We appreciate that. That definitely brought a lot of enlightenment, helped straighten out our road a little bit, where we was going, right? Corrected some things for us, helped us to see some things that we did not previously see. So thank you. Everybody has a piece of the puzzle, and thank you for sharing yours, right? Okay. So in Field Guide to the Spirit World, we're in chapter 9, the possession chapter. Yes, Jamia said, thank you, UFK, for that information. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so where we paused at in chapter 9 was on at the bottom of page 206, and I forgot what we was talking about. Annalise. Oh, that's right, that's right. So it's going into details of her exorcism. And the movie, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, was based off this woman's real life, right? Okay, so that's just a quick, the quick recap that I'm going to do. Oh, that's right. Who was talking about the drugs and them giving her drugs, and I was like, I did all that, right? The drugs making it worse. Okay, so let's go back up. Go up a little bit from where we paused. We paused at the last paragraph, but go back up to the second paragraph. The page starts with the paragraph, but that first indentation when it says, when assaulted by her unknown oppressors, we're going to start there. Where we at? 49 minutes? Okay. Yeah, we're going to go right there. And we may or may not make it to the end of this chapter before I have to cut this out. And I say we could, at the max, we can go like 10 minutes over the hour mark today. All right, so let's start. Page 206 in Field Guide to the Spirit World. When assaulted by her unknown oppressors, Annalise felt a, quote, crushing sensation, end quote. The priest even witnessed quarrels among her demons as to, quote, who should get Annalise, end quote, sounding all the day like disputes between MPD altars known to carry their own conversation, known to carry on their own conversations and debates. One of Annalise's unseen oppressors would say, come on, let's go. No, Then you leave. No. SHIT, I'm not leaving. 1981, page 98. Her repertoire included two more of the foremost signs of possession, hyperpraxia and corpulea. Quote, along with her excitation came muscle power that was close to superhuman. Peter, her boyfriend, saw her take an apple and effortlessly squeeze it with one hand so that the fragments exploded throughout the room. Fast as lightning, she grabbed Oahspe, her sister, and threw her on the floor as if she were a rag doll, end quote, 1981, page 82. As for corpulea, quote, furious profanity, end quote, came spilling out of the devout girl, quote, from her mouth demons rave and curse, end quote. When the doctor's drugs did not help her, Annalise, her family, and the priest decided on exorcism. After her death, the law viciously went after them for negligent homicide. The American movie focuses on that aspect of the case, the trial. Annalise's seizures had been diagnosed as epilepsy by her doctors, so she was given the anticonvulsant Di.lan.tin. And anybody that's familiar with anybody having seizures, they still give that medicine Di.lan.tin to them, right? But convulsions can have various causes, which is to say, not all seizure-like reactions represent a physical ailment. Goodman, in fact, calls Annalise's disturbance a, quote, shamanistic illness, end quote. 1981, page 240. The seizures appearing to be a side effect of a trance. And this is where the mighty controversy arose, polarizing the whole affair into a wicked debate between the pro-drug, medical, psychiatric, big pharma faction and the paranormalists who simply inferred an unknown but intelligent force at work. I believe Goodman got it right when she argued that Annalise was not epileptic. Haven't we already seen enough cases of misdiagnosis among multiples, psychopaths, mediums, schizophrenics, hysterics, and the possessed? Their seizures signal a violent jolt into the altered state. We know this because that state often involves other dissociative reactions, hyperpraxia, corpulea, blackouts, suicidal ideation. In fact, I do not regard these seizures as too different from the temporary spasm jerking we all experience occasionally between the sleeping and waking state, something like the startle response. Annalise was actually a, quote, clinically healthy person prone to switching into a different state of consciousness, end quote. 1981, page 209. Her convulsions bespoke what has been called the RASC, religious altered state of consciousness, properly known as trance. The medications given her, quote, did nothing to blot out the terrifying ghostly countenances. She insisted that they could not heal her. She therefore began demanding religious support, end quote, by summer 1973, 1981, page 242. Mood stabilizers and certain seizure medications are sometimes given to multiples, but can result in further complications such as worse dissociative episodes, hallucinations, even double vision and incontinence. Why? Goodman, I think I got to the root of it. Drugs like Di.lan.tin can have an unseen but powerful effect on the brain, which, now relaxed, inadvertently opens the doors to the dwellers on the threshold. The anticonvulsant, as Goodman put it, quote, interfered with what her brain was designed to accomplish. Ooh, oh my goodness, I just had a thought about something. Okay. Let me read this again. I'm sorry. This is because my father used to have seizures and they put him on Di.lan. And so I'm thinking about all this stuff and from the time he had got sick and just the different things. And I'm wondering if the medication, I'm sure, because for years he had a bad accident. Listen, some of this stuff, it happened with my dad. He had a bad accident when he was younger and he hit his head. And then one day when was we in high school yet? I think we was in was we in middle school, Mom? We was in middle school, came home one day. My dad was laying on the chair. He was watching a football game, me and my sister Alicia. And we came in, we were living in Illinois at the time. And we came in, he was asleep on the chair. And then we were sitting there, he fell asleep. He was watching the game, but we decided we changed. We were in high school. Okay, so it had to been it's definitely ninth grade. It was definitely ninth grade because I remember the screaming and all of that stuff. Lisa, you here? Hey, girl, hey. So I know y'all remember this day. Y'all was there. But we was in there and we changed the channel and we had like a couch. We had where he was laid out on a couch, like the 3-seater. I was sitting over on the 2-seater love seat, and my sister was sitting at the foot where my dad's feet were on the couch, and we had changed the TV. You was in the 7th or 8th? Okay, yeah, so definitely I was in the 9th grade. I was definitely in the 9th grade. But what happened was, I don't remember. Hold on. What I don't remember is because what happened, he re-injured. I think he fell off the couch and hit his head before we got home. And I think he got back up on the couch, if I remember that correctly, because when we got back, when we got back home from school, he had, after a few minutes of us sitting down there, he started convulsing. Like, this was the first time this had ever happened. Wasn't this like the very first seizure he had, Mom? I think this was the very first seizure that he had. I'm guessing since his accident. Yes, okay, this was the very first seizure he had, but he had fallen off the couch and he hit his head, right? So he re-injured the same spot or whatever happened when he was in an accident in his teenage years, him falling off the couch, he hit his head, and from that point, the seizure started. I think he had one when he fell the first time. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He hit his head. But when we came home this day, that's when he had a seizure, right? So, and we didn't know what was going on at first, because my dad is a jokester and he plays, we didn't realize he was having a seizure, right? We thought he was just playing. It was like, Daddy, quit playing, right? And Alicia was like, Daddy, she slapped his leg, but I saw his body stiffen up, and we knew he wasn't playing when he started like foaming at the mouth and crap. And that's when we started screaming. When Mama came flying down the stairs, and I just I don't know that I didn't black out, but I don't think that I was any kind of help at that time, because I was like screaming, and of course we still in the church and stuff, and I'm screaming for Jesus to help us and save my daddy. Like, it was the scariest thing. Yep, girl, it was blood and like white foam coming out the side of his mouth. I saw the white foam, you saw blood first, right? She's clearly a nurse. I'm seeing stuff like scary movie. I see the white foam first, but it was blood with a mixture of the foam. Yeah, that's right. Because what happened, he bit. My sister said that's when I started screaming. He bit off half his tongue, right? Yeah. So I'm just thinking about this. I'm reminded of all of this while reading through this. But even as the years went on, just certain type of things, I'm thinking that, I don't know. Let me keep reading. Okay. Mood stabilizers and certain seizure medications are sometimes given to multiples, but can result in further complications such as worse dissociative episodes, hallucinations, even double vision, and incontinence. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. Okay. I hate when that happen, right? I don't be expecting tears and crap to be coming up. All right, I had to pull myself together. Okay, all right. Whew. Okay, we're on page 207. At the bottom. Mood stabilizers and certain seizure medications are sometimes given to multiples, but can result in further complications such as worse dissociative episodes, hallucinations, and even double vision and incontinence. Why? Goodman, I think I got to the root of it. Drugs like Di.lan.tin can have an unseen but powerful effect on the brain, which, now relaxed, inadvertently opens the doors to the dwellers on the threshold. The anticonvulsant, as Goodman put it, quote, interfered with what her brain was designed to accomplish, end quote, namely to keep psyche in check. The drug then, quote, predisposed her toward opening up that pathway. For Annalise, it was a disaster, end quote. 1981, page 240 to 41. The absences, blackouts, only increased, as did her flat effect, insomnia, headaches, stiff limbs, depression, fratzin, and stenches. Fratzin, remember fratzin is another word that they use for like demon back in the day. Okay, quote, the drug won out and the demons came back, end quote. I'm probably about to say her name wrong. Felicitas Goodman, The Exorcism of Annalise Michael. Only a few years after Annalise's almost sainted death, the DSM, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 3, the Psychiatric Bible, began flirting with labels like, quote, trance possession disorder, end quote. Under the weight of a growing number of possession-like cases in the United States and Canada. Previously banished to Siberia of scholarship, the subject of possession has been long taboo in this smug age of science. Though 20th century psychiatry. Hold on, y'all. I'm still trying to pull myself together here. Hold on. Though 20th century psychiatry put off for the longest time dealing with these mysteries, it became impossible to avoid the mid-80s, at which time DSM-3 was forced to consider trance possession disorder. Put on the table, it came up again in 1995, scoaching the tabooed word possession and sanitizing the syndrome in DSM-4 as, quote, dissociated trance disorder, end quote, in which one's identity is replaced by a new one attributed to a spirit. Still, this other world has not yet been canonized by the scientific community. Wade Davis, another anthropologist, stated the problem well when he said, for the non-believer, there is something profoundly disturbing about spirit possession. Its power is raw, devastating in a way devastating to those of us who do not know our gods. Let me read that again. Wade Davis, another anthropologist, stated the problem well when he said, quote, for the non-believer, there is something profoundly disturbing about spirit possession. Its power is raw, devastating in a way to those of us who do not know our gods, end quote. Davis, 1985, page 214. Soul capture, I probably said that wrong. COUPN''AME is one of the many concepts explored in Wade's brilliant study of Haitian Vodun, where Loa is the good spirit and Baka the evil one. It is no coincidence that much of our finest documentation of spirit possession has come from anthropology. Step out of Western society, and possession rights are the rule, not the exception. In Morocco, the possessing spirit is called Makis. In Ceylon, it is Preta. In India, Bahut, Bhut. In Persia, it is Dru.g. In Brazil, Exu and Orixa. In China, Xing. In Japan, Kami. In Sudan, it is Zar, while among the Zulu, it is Umoya. In classic Judaism, it is Dru.g, a disembodied soul wandering about. In Ethiopia, it is the Oahspe spirit, thought to inhabit the ether over the whole empire. In other parts of Africa, it is the jinn, variations, Jnun, J-N-U-N. A jinn is J-I-N-N. Variations is J-N-U-N. All, N-G, A-L-L-E, J-E-N-I, Ya, N-G, and Inyani, Ni, hold on. Inanyi, Nejinyi, who can seize and possess mortals. In Melanesia, it is Tamate or Tamat, T-A-M-A-T-E, or Atua, ghost of one's ancestors that can enter a man, causing him to shake and quiver all over. Erica Borjunian, I said her name wrong, I'm certain of it, compiled studies of possession trance and found it to be widespread throughout the non-Western world. In her sample of 488 societies from all parts of the world, some type of possession belief was found in 360 societies. 74%, Virginian, 1967, hold on. Is that the page number? Yeah, that's got to be the page number. 1967, page 1973. Or there could be 2 years, 1967 and 1973. I don't know. I would have to flip to the back to double check that. The trance state, as we saw with Annalise Michael and others, brings remarkable ASCs, including clairvoyance, and so we are not surprised to learn that possession and PSI go hand in glove. Quote, all individuals suffering from possession in its different forms are psychic. They show clearly in their history a capacity for precognition, clairvoyance, and telepathy. End quote.
Say this now to all y'all out there. Y'all lucky y'all got her.
Thank you, son. All right.
To be honest, I could not see myself with any other mother. I'm about to head to work though. Love y'all. Love you.
All right, son. Love you too.
I'm out.
He's so sweet. Be safe.
Always.
All right. All individuals suffering from possession in its different forms are psychic. They show clearly in their history a capacity for precognition, clairvoyance, and telepathy. End quote. Arthur Girdman, The Psychic Dimensions of Mental Health. I think we're going to read this last little paragraph with this chart, and then we're going to pause at rapid cycling. In China, the victim of possession is called Hayang-tu, which actually means psychic medium. Likewise, the possessed in India is called Sai.zur.es or Shiva's Shakti, which again points to the psychic powers. Those powers in some parts of the world are welcome and exploited with alacrity. Or alacrity. It's probably alacrity. In Tocopia, Melanesia, for example, the man possessed by Atua, quote, begins to shout, and when the shouting is heard by the people, all run to hear what the Atua has to say. The people sit down in the house and ask questions, end quote. Rivers, 1968, page 321. Indeed, the basic components, actually criteria of possession, as outlined in the Catholic Ritual Romanium, are all PSI factors: xenoglossy, telepathy, precognition, hyperpraxia, corporeia, switching, automatisms, amnesia, ghost cold, unpleasant odors, and fraxin. Illinois' Watsico Wonder was a classic case of possession. In 1865, one Mary Rolfe died and promptly took over the body of Lurancy Venom, who was just an infant. Lurancy proceeded to have Mary's illness and also exhibited supernormal faculties, gave proofs of clairvoyance, and made accurate predictions, and had OBEs in trance, afterward describing in detail her astral journeys. As Catholic analysis have occasionally observed, the Prince of Darkness, quote, without our knowing how he gets control of the body, takes up residence in the nervous system and deprives the soul of its normal mastery over limbs and body. He distorts the face into strange demonic cast or fraxin, which expresses his fury and frustration. He often uses language of an extreme coarseness, corporea, or a bunch of cursing and filthy words, right? Even if his victims should happen to be a gentle, well-bred person, the victim cannot control the completely alien contortions, gesticulations, and words, and thus cannot recall it later. Quite frankly, the possessing spirit moves up and down the victim's body or makes one limb as rigid as an iron bar. Christianity, 1961, page 70 to 71. And this is the last paragraph, and it's going to give this bullet point of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things. Okay. All of this, of course, is a description of full-blown possession, the seizure itself always involving some loss of consciousness, yet it is the more ordinary encroachment, the threat of attachment, that interests me, for it is much more common, though far less obvious. As such, the overshadowing may be kept secret or hidden from view, particularly when the person himself does not know what is wrong with him and cannot identify that nameless dread. All he knows is that he is in hell. Best termed psychic nagging. This apprehension suggests the presence of a negative entity. Here I list some of the most frequently noted effects and dispositions linked to that overshadowing. Malign invasion, methinks, is indicated if 4 or more of these attributes apply. Okay. Here I list some of the most frequently noted effects and dispositions linked to that overshadowing. Malign invasion, methinks, is indicated if 4 or more of these attributes apply. Okay, so if 4 or more of these apply, you probably possessed. Okay, that's what it's saying. All right. The first one, strange laugh or guffaws, Guffas, guffaw, yeah, guffaw, guffs, whatever. You laughing crazy for no reason. Strange laugh or guffaws, often the rat-a-tat-tat machine gun laugh, inexplicable pains or physical upsets, quite often in the stomach, uncontrollable temper, striking out as Annalise explained, quote, I cannot control myself. I want Peter or the girls around, but all of a sudden I throw things at them. Goodman, 1981, page 72. Number 4, trance-like staring, fixity or stubborn withdrawal, accompanied by flat affect or confusion, quote, out of touch. Number 5, sadness, rejection, depression, negativity for which no reason can be given. Number 6, outbursts, viciousness, betrayals, rampages that seem out of character, chronic changing of plans. Number 7, a sense of other. Tony, for example, quote, felt an alien presence reprogramming his mind, end quote. Sarchi and Collier, 2001, page 131. Number 8, frequent mishaps or accidents, as well as deliberate self-harm. And number 9 is rapid mood change. And that's what we're going to pause. We're going to pick it back up with this paragraph that says rapid cycling tomorrow. Where we at? Yep. An hour and 15 minutes. Okay. So thank y'all for hanging out. Forgive my tears that caught me unawares. It happens sometime. And it don't make it any better. Like, we start our fast today, but it don't make it any better that I started yesterday. So now I'm all sensitive and crap. So forgive me, y'all. I'm trying to keep it together. All right, y'all. It is Monday, January the 2nd, 2023. Day 304 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1323. And we finished reading this letter from Celeste, which began on, we picked it back up on page 28, and we went to page 35. And then we read a little bit more of the Field Guide to the Spirit Realm, starting on page 206, and we paused on page 211. All right, y'all. So with that being said, Father, we thank you for times of intimacy with you as we grow and reflect on our lives. Bless everybody here. Love y'all too. Thank you. Thank you for the hug, Dawn. Love y'all. I will see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love y'all too. Peace.